In the 16 years since the Nene Valley opened its doors to the public, it's developed into a completely unique steam railway. Nowhere else can you see such a truly international operation. The line began its life as an outpost of the London and North Western, before being absorbed into the LMS and finally into the London Midland region. With closure under the Beeching Plan, the story might have ended there, had it not been for the efforts of the Peterborough Railway Society, an organisation founded and inspired by a local clergyman, Richard Peyton. The Nene Valley line used to connect Peterborough to Rugby and Northampton. After closure to passenger traffic in the 1960s, the eastern end was retained purely to serve the quarry at Nassington. The original stations, like this one at Wansford, were built of local stone, in a distinctly Flemish style, although the architect can hardly have imagined that one day Belgian railway coaches would rumble through the platforms. It's here at Wansford that the story of the Nene Valley Railway really begins. In the locomotive depot, surrounded by engines of every size, shape and nationality, is number 73050, a BR Class 5 460 named City of Peterborough. This is the engine purchased by Richard Peyton, which was to lead to the foundation of the Nene Valley Railway. It now belongs to the City Corporation for which it is named, and, despite being withdrawn for heavy repair, remains the line's flagship. A typical Sunday afternoon arrival at Wansford gives an instant impression of the line's international flavour. The train is hauled by a huge Polish 210 and consists of Danish State Railway coaches and a fine Pullman restaurant from the International Sleeping Car Company. Before the line was reopened to the public in July 1977, all the necessary platform and structure clearances were rebuilt to enable full-size European rolling stock to operate. The Nene Valley line could not have been reopened without the support of the Peterborough Development Corporation. The tracks run through the heart of the Nene Park Leisure Complex, a large and ambitious project providing excellent outdoor facilities to the population of Greater Peterborough, as well as to visitors from all over the East Midlands. The eastern terminus of the line is Peterborough Nene Valley Station. Situated alongside the River Nene and close to the town bridge, the station is only a few minutes' walk from the city centre and the intercity mainline station. The station at Orton Mere is close to Longville Junction, where the Fletton Goods line joins the Nene Valley. Through trains, to and from the East Coast Main Line, change engines and crews here. Emerging from Wansford Tunnel, heading west, this special working is headed by 3 engines. The western terminus at Yarwell Mill is less than half a mile from here, but no station facility is provided. At the other end of the tunnel, the Polish class TY2, number 7173, moves from the head shunt towards the locomotive depot. The Polish State Railway acquired this former German war engine, Reichsbahn Class 52, after the surrender in 1945. More than 6,000 of these remarkable utility locomotives were built, all during the Second World War, and every country which was occupied by the German army managed to inherit a batch after liberation. Echoes of an earlier World War are evoked by this 1911-built French compound, number 3628 of the Northern Railway, seen here running towards Peterborough in 1987, with a heavy train of mixed European stock. Approaching the Nene River Bridge near Lynch Farm, a nicely turned out goods train is hauled by a former Great Western Railway pannier tank. This engine is not on Nene Valley's regular roster, but a visitor from the Great Western Society at Didcot. A glimpse back to 1987 again. City of Peterborough shunts at Wansford before working an eastbound train. Like many veterans of the pioneering days, repairs are awaited while more recent arrivals take up the burden of day-to-day service. This LNER N7 062 tank is another short-term visitor, ideal for Nene Valley service with its Westinghouse air brake. The roster of permanent Nene Valley locomotives is currently headed by the big ex-German war engine, while many of the veterans of the early period are now in the workshops. A consistently reliable workhorse was the 1914-built Swedish 262, number 1178. This engine shared, with the 1911 French compound, the inaugural train working back in 1977. Built in 1935, in Nazi Germany, the Class 64 262 is another example of the Reichsbahn's standard engines developed after the unification of the German state railways in 1922. It's seen relatively little service in recent years, being nowhere near as reliable as the Swedish 262. A Danish engine, and apparently a real vintage piece, is this little 060 tank, number 656. It has slide valves actuated by Allen straight link motion and runs on saturated steam. However, closer examination reveals that it's not as old as it looks. Built as late as 1949, it was simply constructed to an old design, which was too good to abandon. Another fine locomotive, now being completely rebuilt in Nene Valley's carriage shop, is the Swedish State Railway's 460. A celebrity from early days, this engine is familiar to many as the star of the James Bond blockbuster Octopussy. Also in the workshop is the Bullied Light Pacific, number 34081, 92 Squadron. Diesel locomotives like this Class 14 seen at Yarwell are in regular service, both passenger and departmental. A firm favourite among the smaller industrial types is this 060 saddle tank named Jack's Green. Very much a local engine, Jack's Green was used in the quarries at nearby Nassington until retiring to a somewhat less strenuous life here at Wansford. The steam-driven compressor was fitted by Nene Valley staff when the engine was converted to dual braking. An engine which saw a great deal of service in recent years was this fine Stania Black 5, number 5231. Taking over from the standard 5, City of Peterborough, this locomotive continued the tradition of mixed traffic 460s on the Nene Valley until transfer to another line. 5231 is seen here approaching the Nene Bridge at Wansford with a rake of BR Mark I coaches. Westbound departure from Wansford passes under the A1 road bridge and onto the left-hand track. The right-hand track, still known as the Oundle line, is now merely a long head shunt. A more recent departure from Yarwell Mill sees the same rake of Mark I coaches hauled by a rare threesome, Class 14, number D9523, N7, number 69621, and GW Pannier, number 9466. Without doubt the most popular engine on the line is Thomas the Tank Engine. Beloved by so many generations of children, the Reverend Audrey's heroic character has become a national institution. Maybe the cult of the railway enthusiast has its origins here, who knows? Each year Thomas delights thousands of youngsters at Nene Valley's special Thomas the Tank Engine weekends, and these, together with the Santa specials, have proved the company's most profitable enterprise. A big attraction for the older and more technically minded visitor is the servicing of locomotives at the depot. The Ash Pit Road is quite close to Wansford arrival platform and provides a fine viewing area while ensuring visitor safety. Fires are cleaned and ash pans and smoke boxes emptied in a labour-intensive ritual that's as old as steam itself. Maybe you always wanted to be an engine driver until you saw all this. Or maybe you still do. Nene Valley is deservedly famous for the style and panache with which it runs its train service. The line is largely straight. There are few severe speed restrictions, only very shallow gradients, and the track is maintained in first-class condition. Adequate locomotive power is provided to handle the sometimes heavy trains, and the timetable requires a certain professional slickness. On-train services are provided in the form of bar buffet cars and this superb restaurant car, now serving English cream tea. This Norwegian wooden balcony car hasn't seen too much service in recent years, which is rather a pity. Its roomy, if somewhat austere saloon has reversible tramcar style seats, so that passengers can always face the engine. For the younger visitors, it has the unmistakable flavour of the Wild West. For students of railway engineering, the most interesting vehicle on the railway is this French Railways Nord Express car. Designed by Picasso in the 1930s, it's an example of the world's first all-steel monocoque coach. There are many other rare and interesting vehicles in the collection, but without doubt the twin jewels in the crown are the heavyweights of the International Sleeping Car Company. These two vehicles represent the high point of European railway travel in the steam age. They evoke memories of famous trains, the Direct Orient Express, the Blue Train, the Golden Arrow and the Étoile du Nord. The first of these two vehicles, and the one that sees regular service on the line, is the 56-seat restaurant car built for the Wagonlit Company by Reggio Emilia in Italy in 1927. The cooking range in the galley was originally coal-fired, but was later converted to burn fuel oil. Sadly, it's now been removed altogether. Light meals are, however, still served in the elegant and ornately panelled dining saloon. The second of these vehicles is a sleeping car and sees no regular service. If you get the chance, take a look into the opulent interior and savour something of the luxury of long-distance European rail travel in a bygone era. Although the Nene Valley has a truly international collection of locomotives and rolling stock, the signalling is exclusively British. Wansford Signal Box, with its typical LNWR stirrup levers, controls the level crossing over the old Great North Road. The platform starting signals at Wansford make a startling contrast to the LNWR box. They are the last working examples of Great Northern somersault signals to be found anywhere. A privilege which very few visitors are afforded is the opportunity to ride the engine cab. Let's take that opportunity now and join driver Malcolm Hugh on the footplate of the XGWR 280, number 3822, departing westbound from Orton Mere. I won't say another word. Meanwhile, back at Ferry Meadows, the automatic crossing warblers are screaming as the GWR Pannier, number 9466, makes a very purposeful start, bound for Wansford and Yarwell Mill. The big enclosed cab of the ex-German Class 52 makes a stark contrast to those of the GWR engines. Like all German locomotives, the driving position is on the right-hand side. The large fire hole, with its counterbalanced flap door, is a great help to the firemen skillfully feeding coal to the big fire. With its 10 driving wheels, the Kriegslock is a sure-footed powerhouse, capable of hauling tonnage far in excess of anything the Nene Valley Railway might demand. Great Britain certainly has an abundance of steam railways, and most of them have a special atmosphere all their own. The Nene Valley Railway is unique in being the only international line, and this is certainly the reason that it's been chosen by so many filmmakers over the years. With a little set dressing, Nene Valley is instantly transformed into just about any European railway scene during this century. The Nene Valley Railway is an ambitious, expanding enterprise. Additions to its fleet of historic locomotives and rolling stock are planned, as well as development of the adjacent Museum of World Railways. There's even talk of further extension westward. As Thomas finishes another long, tiring but satisfying day, the staff here at Nene Valley thank you for your welcome visit. If you came in person, we look forward to seeing you again soon. If you only visited from the comfort of your armchair, you simply must come and see the real thing. Thank you for purchasing this souvenir of Nene Valley Railway. If you really want to get your hands dirty, why not join us?